Everyone, welcome to BurningMonkey.net. So in this tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how to use brush and the different brush types. So first thing we need to do is create a new project. And now here I'll just double click on this background layer, click OK. And now we're going to click on the brush tool, which is located right here. So if we move the mouse right above but below the menu here, this is our brush, and right now it's at the width of 25. So as you can see, it says size 25. And so if I click and draw, right now it's kind of clear, so I'll select the better color here, so green. You'll see that the size is 25. And if I change this, so if I click on this little arrow, drop down arrow, and I change it to 129, you can see that the size of the cursor changed, and when I click it also changes. So now if I click and move it bigger and I click, now you can see that the size is at 494. But that's not all. There's more things to this as well. So you'll notice that you have the mode. There's the types of modes, opacity, and the flow. So the first thing I'm going to do is change the opacity down to 32. Now you'll see, and I can make this brush smaller right now. And as you can see, this is at this opacity here on this green one was at 100, and this one is at 32. And of course, these two are solid. And now if I change it to even lower, and I click to draw, you can see the opacity or the transparency is even less. Now you'll notice I have everything here is drawn, and if I go over to my layers tab, and here there's also a normal, opacity, and the fill. Now if I go and change the opacity, you'll see that this one applies it to the entire layer. So the entire layer is changing the transparency, and now it's completely invisible. So I'll go and change this back to 100. So what are the differences? So here in the layers tab, this affects the entire layer, as opposed to this only affecting whatever you're about to be drawing. So I'm going to change this back to 100, and now let's look at flow. So right now it's at 100, which is what we did here with this solid one. I'll change it to 74. And now you'll see that while I'm drawing, you can see the edges are at 74. So if I go ahead and draw and then keep drawing again, it's going to fill it back to 100, which is the same as this color here. So now go ahead and change it to something less, so 27%. And now you'll notice that if I just click once, it's just about the same as this one. But now if I click again over it, the opacity or the flow and the color is going back to what it was. But it requires a lot more. So I have to come in and draw it again. So what that allows you to do is to change, kind of like the ink, how the pressure is when you're pushing down or when you come back in and draw above and over it. So now if I change it to, let's say, something ridiculously low like 8, you can hardly see it, but the more I begin to come around and rebrush over it, it becomes to fill and get darker and darker and darker. So now I'll change that to back to 100. So now you've seen what that is. Now you have these different modes here. So normal, if I come in here and I start drawing, it's just going to continue this normal same color. So this, if you click on this little guy here, the palette, the color palette, and you see the code, it's at number 60FF00. Okay, so that's the code for this color we have selected right now when we're drawing. And I come in here and I keep drawing, and it's the same. So now what happens if I say multiply? So if I come in here and continue to draw, you'll see if I let go and I keep clicking, the color is getting darker and darker and darker and darker and darker. And that's multiply. So that's just one of the many different types of modes that you can do with the brush. Now, you might be thinking, well, I guess there's only these types of brush. No, there's many more. But before I go into those, I just want to create a new layer. Turn this layer off and demonstrate these. So you'll notice that opacity is at 100, the flow is at 100, but when I come in here, you get this nice kind of cloudish effect. So if I come in here, that's what these do, and that's what the hardness does. So you'll notice that the hardness is at 0, and if I bring this up to 50, you'll notice that there's less cloudiness, but you're still getting a little bit. So now if I go into hardness and I go all the way to 100, you'll notice there is no cloudiness. This brush is solid. So you might be asking, well, why do I need to use this little kind of fuzzy like thing? Well, if you're drawing clouds or you're drawing something where you need to demonstrate that it's like a dream, or you want to get something for any reason that has any kind of fuzziness, it's a good tool to have. You'll run into a bunch of times when you'll know when to use a tool. So just remember that that's just the hardness. So these are just presets so that you don't have to come in here, go into the hardness and change it. You just click on the tool and go ahead and begin to draw. Now, just like the ones above, these brushes also give you different looks. So if I zoom in here and I just went ahead and drew a line, you'll notice that it's kind of like a brush, and it's leaving these little streak marks where your little brushes were. So if I change the brush type, you can see even more clearly the type of brush that I'm using. And you can come in and draw and try different types. And if I come in here and select this one, and you can just play around with all the different types of brushes there are, and you'll find out that there's so many. And with that said, you can even download some from online and apply it to your brush palette, and you can pretty much replicate whatever you drew on paper. And so these above are just some nice ones that kind of replicate what brushes and pens do. And you also have these, which is kind of like stencils. So I'm going to go ahead and make this one bigger if I can here. There we go. Okay, and you'll see I made that huge, but you can draw. Oops, created the wrong thing. And delete that and create a layer. You can see the stencil created the leaves, and you can change it to grass and the other presets they have here, and you can make a postcard or any of types of things, and it's just fun and easy. And let's say you didn't want green, you can change the color, you can do orange, and you can just come in here and draw, and you get this nice autumn effect. Anyway, so that's a good look at brushes. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time, and have an awesome one, and stay creative.